What is going on, Chiefs Kingdom? We are back with another live episode. We're missing our producer slash co-host slash main host tonight, so things may be a little wonky. I do apologize if the title of this is a bit odd. I don't really
Yeah.
know what's happened with that front. Hopefully, this
We've been
doesn't.
left unsupervised. So if you are not paying attention, you should get the hell in here. We do miss our beautiful producer, co-host, and really good hype man. I miss him starting with these beautiful men. Like I needed that this week. So Garrett, when you listen to this, I expect a text message or a DM calling us beautiful because we need that, man.
Yeah, and I've tried to figure out how to relabel things and do things. None of it is working at the moment. I don't really know what has happened, but we're gonna roll with it
Yeah,
because that's what we're here
we're not
for. So,
the ones who do the technology. We're the monkeys who scream at the microphone when people are being
right,
stupid.
right.
That's
He
horrible.
understands how to do all this. I am currently. Oh no, that
Oh,
wouldn't have
look at
fixed
that.
it. I thought I had something figured out. I don't, but
Yeah. Also, our introductory skills are not on the same par as Garrett. He always comes in. So let's welcome to a live stream of the Kingdom Says podcast.
correct.
That is nope. That is. I hope I'm pointing at the right. Yeah.
Yeah,
That is one of our usual beautiful co-hosts, Kyle Henning. I am the other one, Thomas Pike, aka Arrowhead Tom. Kyle, you got to put your socials in the. How are people going to know? There's like 4,000
I
people
know.
right now,
I
and none of them
know.
know. Anyways,
It's
um,
really easy. It's Kavin16. It's super easy to find me if you really want to. Some of you probably
yeah,
do, some of you probably don't. But we are here to talk Chiefs Bills. It's been a little bit of an odd week because we played Monday night, which means we didn't get to our normal recording of the recap, which is what this is titled as, which is Mariota, not Mariota. We are not talking about Marcus Mariota this evening. Um,
we're
so
not.
we're now here on Saturday to get you guys ready for Chiefs Bills tomorrow in the late window, where CBS said, we don't want any other game rights at all. We just want to
Mhm.
broadcast this to the whole country. And it's a good thing that it's CBS and not ABC or Disney, because nobody would be able to get that on YouTube TV right now. So,
Yeah,
uh,
right.
with with all that said, um, we are here to talk Chiefs Bills, which is usually one of the bigger games of the year. It seems to be that every year. This one's a little different. This one's a bit of a different vibe.
Mhm.
Both teams are not 3 or 4 games ahead in their division at the moment. Both
Mhm.
teams are not the favorites or the second favorite for the 1 seed. The quarterbacks are still the favorite and second favorite for the MVP at the moment. So that part tracks like normal. But the rest of this is a bit different. How you feeling headed towards us? Just to give us a little quick preview before we dive all the way in, Tom.
Um.
And also, I
no-
apologize. How are you doing this evening? Because I forgot to ask
Oh
that
yeah.
question earlier too.
Hey,
Yeah, this hosting thing is hard. Garrett should do
yeah.
this, and
It's
not us.
really not. We should probably pay Garrett more,
You got that right.
or at all. Um,
Yeah, starting with
uh,
any would be probably beneficial. So
yeah. All right. So, like you said, it's a little bit different, but it's also not because it's a rival. I know they're not in our division, but it's a rivalry game. And the way it's kind of historically always been is the Bills show out during the regular season, and then they just go back to being little brothers during the playoff. And that's kind of how I like. Um, and I know I'm gonna. I will say I have a love and respect for the Buffalo Bills fans and their organization. Um, I
most
know
of
that
them.
there's a rivalry here right now, but if there is a fan base that is loyal and fun and has endured some heartbreak, just like the Chiefs did before Patrick Mahomes, the Buffalo Bills are right up there with them. If not, some of the other things they've been. So I'm always I've got a little bit of a soft spot for them. I don't ever want them to beat the Chiefs, but if like the Chiefs were not in it, which since Mahomes has taken over, that's just not been the case. Um, But if the Chiefs were out and the Bills were, were playing, I would probably want it to be the Bills. Um, at least on the AFC side of a Super Bowl. So, I think Josh Allen is so much fun to watch. I think that James Cook is a really fun running back. Um, I there's players all around the team that you're like, okay, yeah, like I get it. Um, Not all superstar names, but like, put your head down, do the work. Um, yeah, their head coach has some questionable team building advice, but other than that, like, um, you know, I really I always look forward to the games. They're always stressful, um, but this one does feel a little bit different just with the context. And I think even if we dropped this game, because again, they usually come really guns ablazing in the regular season towards the Chiefs. Um, I there's still a level of like comfortability with that because we've seen it before. If we see them in the playoffs, it's usually a much different game the second time around. And I think no, the Chiefs are never going to lose a game on purpose, but I don't think that's entirely unintentional. I think they're really good at learning other teams and adjusting.
Well, so I would say this one, while it's not for the one seed, it's to keep both teams alive for their divisions in a realistic sense, and especially still alive for a shot at the one seed if the Colts trip all over themselves. And by trip, I mean they lose another game and then get beat by Kansas City. So the Colts schedule is rather soft. It's not particularly difficult. Uh,
Mhm.
they are steamrolling bad teams, so that's all what you expect from Indy. But with this Buffalo matchup, look, these teams know each other. I think they've played 10 times since the two quarterbacks have existed, which is a frankly absurd number. Um, it's this will be matchup 10. I think they're 4-1 is Josh in the regular season, and Patrick is 4-0 in the postseason.
Mhm.
Usually, all of this stuff has to be against one another. That's just how it ends up at the end of the day. Usually, these teams see each other twice a year, even though they're not division opponents. So there's a lot of familiarity. It also seems like in the regular season, the Chiefs don't always pull everything out of the bag of tricks when they play. They always seem to. There's one thing in the regular season, and then it looks like a totally different football game in the postseason. So that'll be interesting. But I think the story of this for me is both teams are dealing with a few banged up players in some key spots. We'll see kind of what everything looks like. Chiefs are going to be without Isaiah Pacheco. We know Josh Simmons will not be back at least until after the bye if all things are conversated with Nate Taylor, which he reported and they've heard elsewhere now. Um, and then on the Bill side, that defense is beat up.
Yeah.
They have like their safety room is beat up. Greg Russo just went to IR. Daquan Jones isn't playing in this game.
Hmm.
Neither is one of their linebackers, whose name I'm blanking on at the moment. Um, but there's just a lot of pieces, and this Buffalo Bills defense has been a problem against really bad teams this year. Like I don't know the Falcons.
Hmm.
Um, so with the Chiefs' offense running how it is, it's just going to be an interesting to see if the regular season trend of the Bills winning the regular season matchup most of the time continues. But it'll be interesting because, like I said, both of these teams need this game for standings purposes.
Hmm.
And I don't think you're going to get a watered down or different game plan than the one they think they can go in and win with on either side from either team.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that they've done that in years past, but it's just felt like in years past in some of these that there was more testing the waters going on
Hmm.
somewhat on Andy and Spags' side, while Buffalo was like, we have to win this game.
Yeah.
So now that both teams are in more of that, we absolutely have to win this game type of mode. This should be
Hmm.
much more of a playoff game feel, which is what Trent McDuffie said earlier in his press conference. I believe it was yesterday. And
Hmm.
again, it's been a weird week for the Chiefs too because they played Monday, and I think Buffalo's coming off the bye.
I think you're correct. Yep.
They pounded
Nope.
Carolina.
No,
pounded
you have it the other way around. They had the bye, then they had a second bye in Carolina.
Carolina. So yeah,
Yeah,
they
yeah. So
smashed
essentially,
the
a mini
Panthers.
bye.
Yeah,
They had a
much
spring
like the
game.
Chiefs had a mini bye when they played the Raiders a couple weeks ago,
Yeah,
and the defense played 30 snaps.
yeah.
So, um, and the starters were out by by the end of the third quarter. So both teams are coming into this game. Like I said, the Chiefs have beat up two teams. Bills beat up the Panthers. But these are very different. This is a different style of Bills team, I think, on the offensive side than we've seen, with just due to the weaponry, and then that defense has been interesting. So where do you want to start? You want to start offensive for the Chiefs or defense for the Chiefs?
Um, let's start offense for Chiefs, just because I take that back. Let's start the defense because I think I have more concerns about the defense against the Bills, and I don't want to be negative at the end of the show. So
Fair enough.
let's get the fears out of the way.
So where are we starting?
Uh, I know the conversation is going to be about Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes, and all the graphics will be about that. But this game is going to come down to one component, and that is James Cook. And he's had a phenomenal season. The Chiefs are in a weird position because obviously they lost the rookie Omar Norman Lott. They did bring back Mike Pennell this week, but that defensive line has been thin. We've talked about it before. Spags does a phenomenal job of game planning around it, and making sure that the run fits are there and that type of thing. But when that stuff doesn't work out for him, we've seen it get jammed up before. We're talking about the Bills' schedule. In all the games that the Bills have won, Cook has gone over 100 yards except for one, which was the Week 1 game against Baltimore. But after that, he's been 132, 108, 117. Didn't look like he did much against New England, and then they lost to Atlanta. He was at 87, and then last week he had 216 against Carolina. So I know that this is the identity of the Bills is kind of on Josh Allen, and that's how it is a quarterback. But the biggest concern I have, I think the biggest thing that could make it a really long day for the Chiefs, and has before historically, is James Cook, and that's a credit to him as a player, to that offensive line who move people. I think it's a really good time to have this test right before the trade deadline, because this is where you're going to have an idea of, do we really need to go get somebody and add to this defensive line rotation, or can we make it work with these guys? It's a big test for them. Other than that, I think as long as we don't see a weird matchup game in the passing situation, like if we don't turn Keon Coleman into Terrell Owens like we did Week 1 with Quentin Johnson, I think we match up pretty well with them. I've said this before, and I'm just thinking about this. I've been thinking about this a lot this week. Noel Williams, such a good find for Brett Veach, and that matchup.
Now let's see if they play him.
Yeah, well, they better. I think the potential matchup there with Keon Coleman is important. Just looking at there, it looks like Josh Palmer's been ruled out for this game as well. The other wide receiver.
Yes.
So we might see, Khalil Shakir is a piece they move around a lot. I like the matchup with him and McDuffie, but they also have Curtis Samuel, and that's one of those types of players that
who
Curtis Samuel.
He's still in the league.
I think we had this conversation last year, and then I'm pretty sure he tore us up for like 60, 70 yards.
But he's so old.
He's not that old. He's like 29.
At this point, dude, I feel like he's been in the league forever.
He's been around for a minute, but he's 29.
He's 29. Wow. I apologize, Curtis. I did not realize. I feel bad now. I thought you were much older than that. They also reactivated Gabe Davis from injury or whatever, practice squad, so he should be playing as well in some capacity. I know some Chiefs fans will have minor PTSD with Gabe Davis.
Yeah.
But it's not the same Gabe Davis as it was a few years ago. It doesn't seem.
Well, it might be the same Gabe Davis, just isn't the same secondary.
Correct. So I'm interested in that. You brought up James Cook, and this is something that the Chiefs defense, they just do this year, which is odd because it's always kind of been a little bit of an Achilles heel has been teams can run on them. But Amarion Hampton, they held to 48 yards. Saquon ran for 88. Scatabo had 60. Derrick Henry had 42. Travis Etienne had 49. Jahmyr Gibbs had 65. Ashton Jeanty had 21. Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt had 25. Only two of those are above their season averages. And one of those was Saquon, and the other one was Scatabo doing his breakout game, and some of that was in this game is over.
Yeah.
So they've handled running backs. James Cook is averaging 107.5 yards a game right now. So it's a styles make fights matchup.
Yeah.
So, but the Chiefs, and we talked about this a little bit on Wednesday, which you guys probably didn't see till Thursday, because I think that's when it came out in the morning. But they added Mike Pennell back to this, which is a piece that we all thought was going to be here to start the year. He wasn't. Now he's back. That's a big deal for this defense. One, it makes your best player on your defensive line happy. So that's good. That's important. But he also allows you to eat up some snaps where you don't have to have Jerry Tillery or Derek Nottie on the field. Or if you do have him on the field, you have him with them, so it's not just them. And Chris can take a breath because he's playing like 80-something% of the snaps or more right now. And that's allows Chris to be more dominant to where he does, because he can then give a little more on some of the other plays where he can go that extra spot and try to make that extra play. But that matchup of that offensive line against this reworked, somewhat revamped interior of the Chiefs. Now, all those players, for the most part, have seen each other plenty because we've talked about this. They played a ton over the last few years, and most of these guys have been here. But I think the Beast makes a big difference. I think he's going to get plenty of run. He's in shape. He's been playing. He was playing like 25 or 30% of the snaps for the Bengals while he was still in Cincinnati. So it gives them another piece they can trust against the run, and it gives Chris his running mate back inside. So that part, while James Cook has been great, he's also been great against some really bad teams because the Bills' schedule is real soft. It just is, which is interesting because they're a first-place team, but because of the way the alternate divisions played out, and because of the way all of the other things, like their division is, other than the Patriots, well, bad, and so on and so forth, they haven't had a ton of stiff competition. The Ravens probably being their most difficult, and that was at the very beginning of the year, week 1, and they were down big at home and made a huge comeback because the Ravens gave that game up somehow. So it'll be interesting. I think the runner that I'm more interested in is to see how Kansas City handles Josh Allen in the run game, because I think he's going to be more active. They give up a decent amount of yardage to the quarterbacks running the ball. I think they're like third in rush yards given up to QBs this year. And he always seems to run it more when they play us than he does when they play anybody else. So that's kind of how they approach that. I thought it was interesting. Spags mentioned, well, you blitz 5, or you bring 5 and you stay in your rush lanes, or you bring 4 and you spy. And it's a regular season game, so I don't know that Spags will spy, which is one of the things that they seem to do in the playoffs that they don't do in the regular season against Josh. It'll be interesting to see what the approach is from Steve on that front. But that's the runner that I'm more interested in, because I do think they've shown that, hey, you have a really awesome, great running back. Yeah, that's fun. What happens when we take that away? So, and they've done it all year.
Yeah. And again, with Josh Allen, the caliber of player he is like, you can't say, oh, for sure it's going to go this way or that way, right? Like, this game, as always, can go either way. It's probably going to be close. It's probably going to be an entertaining game. The Josh Allen as a runner thing is interesting for me because you're right. Sometimes I think they take that more. Um, they have a different approach again in playoff time. But as you mentioned, this is a pretty important game for both teams, and I wonder if we're going to see. I really um, quietly, Leo Chenal has had a really good year when he has seen the field.
He's been excellent.
Yeah, I that's always a good sign. Hopefully, there's probably going to be some changes in that room in the next year or two. Spoiler alert: it's a really good draft class for linebackers this year. Um, but I assume that he would be the one for that job specifically, um, and I'm sure he would love a chance to go, spy and chase Josh Allen all around the field because Josh Allen's a big kid, but Leo Chenal is, I'm pretty sure, was birthed out of a football. So I think that'll be an interesting piece. The wide receivers, Khalil Shakir is always one that just makes me nervous because again, he's that undersized kind of shifty guy that they work across the zones, and he has, a lot of his game is being able to get away from press, get the hands off you, and he's good at it. So Keon Coleman has had a better year. Well, he started the year off. I picked him up in fantasy. He's been disappointing since. But yeah, I'm not worried about where he's at or what he's doing. A couple of other guys. I mean, Elijah Moore has been on. He's only 25, but he's been on like 6 teams. Like he was a second round pick, and he just not there. That's why I said I think Curtis Samuel has a chance to maybe be a kind of an annoying like, oh wait, who's that guy? So I think.
But if Curtis Samuel's the guy that's gonna beat you, like that's fine. Like if you're that's who, if you have to go through the weaponry and go, well, if we have to pick somebody to beat us, that's who.
Yeah,
and so
the tight ends, and this is where I go back to that run game. It wouldn't surprise me if we see a lot of 2 tight end sets. Kincaid and Dawson.
I was looking to see if either one of them was on the injury report because one of them has been hurt on and off pretty much all year. Whether it was Kincaid or Knox, they both I think missed some time this year. I may be wrong. Maybe it was just one of them missed several weeks, but neither one are on the injury report. So yes, the tight ends are going to be a factor. They always are, especially playing against this Chiefs defense. It just seems to be a thing that Kansas City has a little bit of issue with now. There's some obvious reasons for that we've discussed in the past. I don't know if we need to go back down that road again. Your starting middle linebacker needs to be a little bit better in coverage. I don't know that that's ever going to happen. So you just kind of live with that in some instances. But they've done some interesting things, taking away with running some of the safety looks they've get run. Jaden Hicks has been getting more and more time. Shamari Connor tackle's nice. He's a good deep safety. I still don't want him in coverage if you don't have to. But again, in man coverage on a slot wide receiver or a mobile agile tight end. But
a little more confident with Shamari Connor and like as that. Dawson Knox is a good player. I don't love that matchup, but I could live with that matchup if it makes sense.
Let me ask you this. Which 2 of the Bills tight ends do you think is better? Because it seems to be more of a back and forth thing lately.
Because
first it was Knox, and then Kincaid balled out when Knox was hurt, and then it's kind of been like a hybrid unit thing where you can't really tell. Like I don't know which one. Are they almost the same guy at points?
I think no, because Kincaid is very much there. It's a really interesting case because they're the same. I think they're the same. Oh no, so Kincaid's a little bit younger. He was a first round pick in 2023. Knox was the third round pick in 19. I think they're both very capable players. I think Knox is a little bit more of a physical inline presence. He had a lot of receiving ability. I think he's kind of had some yeah, I guess kind of he's probably trending down. While I think Kincaid is trending up more as just the pass catcher in that offense. But again, I think that's where we could see a lot of those two tight end sets, and then then you can move out of play action from there and that type of thing. So it's a little tricky. I think if we're saying, hey, which one are we going to take between the two? My answer is Dalton Kincaid. I think he's got just way more juice as a receiver. Um, and but Dawson Knox would start for half the teams in the league right now.
Yeah,
So we've
I'm
kind of got
not saying either one of them are bad. I just was curious to see which one you thought might be better between
yeah,
the two. And then they have the rookie Jackson Haas from Georgia
yeah.
Tech. So you might even see some three tight end looks depending on how much they want to commit to the heavy
Mhm.
personnel.
Well, Haas had that
Um,
crazy touchdown in week one, but he's
yeah.
been not a lot of action since then.
Okay. So I think for me the wide receivers. Look, Keon Coleman. I don't know why everybody's acting surprised about Keon Coleman. He didn't separate in college, guys.
Yeah.
Like that's not his game, and it never has been. He
Hmm.
he was a contested catch kind of jump ball guy even then, and yeah, he was a better athlete from that perspective and stronger than a lot of those guys. That changes a little bit in the NFL. It's one of the reasons that when everybody was trying to say, "Oh, we should draft him as a Chief," I was like, he doesn't fit at all what they do, so I don't know that that makes any sense. And instead, Buffalo decided to let us trade up for Xavier Worthy and then take Keon Coleman, so that worked out. But like, he doesn't like that for me. That's a Jalen Watson matchup. If you're going to have two corners on the field, if they're going two wide receivers, you're going to see Trent on Khalil and Jalen on
Keon.
yes, Keon. I don't know. I just wanted to say Coleman, but I couldn't get it out for some reason.
Yeah. Keon
Um,
Coleman, whatever.
so look, I think the secondary matchup is quite nice when it comes to the receiving core. You did mention the tight ends. I'm curious to see how they approach that. If they what they do with that third corner, linebacker, third safety, who they decide to rotate in that instance. Leo Chenal's been great in multiple aspects. So they have some options. Tranquil's playing well. That linebacker room is playing really well. They have been for several weeks now. They've quietly been very, very good.
Hmm.
Even with the occasional oopsie by Nick in coverage, like that running back out of the backfield throw where he got caught in the wash a little bit and doesn't quite have the step to recover to get out there, and then all of a sudden that ball was by him, and then he's down the sideline for 24. Those are the plays you want to eliminate for this Bills offense because James Cook can do that stuff too. So it'll be interesting to see the matchups from that perspective. But Josh, Josh hasn't been playing fantastic this year. He's been good. He's
Hmm.
been solid, but he's not been Josh. Like and some of that as Chiefs fan has to do with what's around you. And I
Hmm.
just don't have a ton of faith in that receiver room. And if you're gonna have to, because the Chiefs tackle really well, and the thing the Bills like to do is get the ball out short and then get yards. And with a really good tackling secondary, that's a tough ask. So
Hmm.
this defense is set up to have a good day, especially if they can pressure Josh effectively. I don't know that you need to sack him a bunch. I don't know that you need to hit him a bunch, but you do need to pressure him and contain him because he can beat you with his legs. We've seen it before. That's how they sealed the regular season win last year was with his legs.
Hmm.
So that the main things for me are kind of what we seem to be almost a broken record when talking about this team. Contain the running backs and tight ends, and don't let the quarterback beat you with his legs when you're playing quarterbacks like this. So it's but with Mike back, Chris gets a bump and gets a lift. You slide some guys down the depth chart that were playing more snaps than they probably needed to be, whether that be Jerry Tillery, whether that be Derek Nottie. So you've got some more help inside, which frees you up to fix that depth chart just a little. So let's do this. we will take a quick pause here and talk to you about our friends. We have friends, and
We have
they would like us
friends.
to talk about them.
When did we
Yes,
make
we
friends?
do. We have these friends.
Oh, right, those friends.
And our friends over at Underdog want you to come over and check out their app and get involved in the pick'ems or the fantasy drafts or any of the stuff they've got going on over there. There's all kinds of stuff that you've got. NFL, obviously, we're going to be getting a bunch of that on Sunday. NBA, NHL, you won't be able to do anything with the MLB because Game 7 of the World Series is on right now. So that one won't be available, but the rest of it is go over to Underdog. Kingdom says use the code uh, $5. I believe will get you 100 at this point with that. So hop over there, grab some picks, put some stuff together, and get you some bonus money to play with, and put in some contests. You can higher or lower on all of your favorite players' stats or guys you think are going to have big days. If you think the Chiefs defense is going to shut down James Cook, his rushing higher or lower is there. If you think they're going to shut him down, lower may be an option for you.
Have the Chiefs allowed a 100-yard rusher this year?
I do not believe they have.
Yeah, and they've been doing. That's a streak they've had for a while. So that's a one that you could probably, depending on how it looks,
how the multiplier works. Yeah,
Yeah,
you could check that out. Josh Allen's rushing yards has been a common topic amongst folks. I think I don't remember what the number is over on Underdog. I've seen it at a bunch of different places, like 37.5 on a couple places. So that's another one where you could go higher there or lower there, depending on if you think he's gonna, do what he normally does and run the ball. I think he's probably gonna run more attempts against the Chiefs than he has most of the year. So that may be because I think they usually have rushing attempts too for some guys.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely have it for the running backs. I don't know if they have it for the quarterbacks all the time, but plenty of things over there. And obviously there's all of the Chiefs offense stuff. Patrick Mahomes total yards, Patrick Mahomes passing yards, Xavier Worthy, Travis Kelce, Rashee Rice.
Worth mentioning that Travis Kelce's on a little bit of a heater right now. So
little bit hot. And we're going to get into the offense right now. So go over to Underdog, drop in that code Kingdom Says, get your bonus for signing up, and have some fun and have a little more things to pay attention to. With the Chiefs playing at 325, you can have some stuff on the noon games that'll make them a little more interesting. Do a couple contests that have some of the noon games involved. So check our friends out at Underdog, and we would appreciate it greatly, and so would they, and you guys will have a good time. All right, now that we've done that, let's talk offense for this Chiefs offense against this Buffalo defense.
Yeah, as you mentioned earlier, the Bills defense is a little beat up right now. These teams always play each other tough. I'm pulling up their injury. I just had it and then I closed it.
I've got it open if you need it.
Yeah. So
they're missing confirmed already. Shaq Thompson is out. Daquan Jones, their interior D tackle, out. Greg Rousseau is not on the injury report, but he has a torn bicep, I think. He's on IR.
Where did you see that? I have not seen that anywhere.
Yeah, it was on the good old Twitter X machine. It came out, I think, a week ago. I don't remember if he tore it. I don't remember how long ago he tore
it. Was Rousseau? Are you thinking of, because he's dealing with a knee injury? Are you thinking of Ed Oliver?
Maybe. I keep saying Greg Rousseau, and it is Ed Oliver. I apologize.
Is
Ed Oliver that is dealing with the torn bicep. That is my bad. I, for some reason, had those two switched in my head. Yes. Ed Oliver is who tore his bicep and is on IR. That's a big deal for them because Ed Oliver's been really, really good for them for the last couple of years now. That's probably why I was thinking it was Rousseau, because Rousseau's been really good for them too. But
and they're both younger players, first round picks.
So, that's a problem. Teron Johnson is questionable. He was
Mhm.
limited. He showed up on the injury report on Friday, which that's never great. And then so you've got some of those issues sitting there with that. I do believe Travis Kelce stopper Matt Milano is going to play in this game. For those of you who aren't familiar, that is complete and total sarcasm. But that they also are going to have, and I am not joking when I say this, one of their starting safeties right now is Cole Bishop. They have Taylor Rapp, and
I think Rap just went out too, or just went down too, didn't he? On IR.
he might have. They're beat up. If I'm not mistaken, Jordan Poyer is supposed to play in this game. I don't.
It's
I don't.
possible.
I don't know what's happening. There's a lot of things going on with that Buffalo defense in the
Yeah. They
secondary.
just said Rap is likely out for the season.
Yeah, and I think
Something like this week, like 2 days ago.
he is listed on reserve injured right now.
Mhm.
So, but with that, I still think Jordan Poyer was possibly going to be in this. I don't remember where I heard that
Jordan
at or
Poyer
who said
a
that, but
thing.
I didn't think so. That's what I was confused about because I kept hearing that this week, and I was like, is he really still
Yeah, it sounds like he
a
got
thing?
bumped up with the.
Yeah, he's on the roster. He's supposed to play.
Yeah, sounds like he
Uh,
is. He's going to start.
and Cole Bishop, guys, no offense, Cole. It's been bad. It's been real bad. It's been not
Yeah.
good. And so your starting corner, who's been one of your better players in Teron Johnson, showing up on Friday on the injury report, and your other corner being Tre'Davious White.
That secondary is aging.
And
Has aged.
then Christian Benford is the other outside corner, and it's like,
Benford's pretty
okay,
solid. I got love for
and
Benford.
Benford is, but the problem with that is that's one guy, and the rest of that secondary is had trouble, and against teams with far less weaponry than what this offense has on it right now. And then you pair that with the fact that that defensive line has had so many injuries, and you're missing both of your starting interior defensive linemen, completely gone. Like Larry Ogunjobi and Dion Walker are the two backups to the guys that they are already confirmed to not have in Ed Oliver and Daquan Jones. So it leaves you in a bit of a pickle. Now the Chiefs are going to be without Isaiah Pacheco, and the comment I made on Wednesday may be closer to coming true than some people want because Clyde Edwards-Helaire was elevated from the practice squad today. So it'll be interesting to see if Elijah Mitchell gets that nod, even though he's been on the active roster and they've had him basically as an inactive, or if Clyde does, or if they both do. It'll be very interesting because Clyde tore the Buffalo Bills up once, long time ago, rookie year, went nuts. It would be so poetically, hilariously funny if Clyde Edwards-Helaire had like 140 yards on the ground just because. Just one more time for the one times. Yeah, I'm mostly kidding, guys. It'll probably be a heavy load of Kareem Hunt and Brashard Smith with a sprinkling of either of the other two guys I just talked about. But this running game hasn't needed to be anything insane for them to absolutely roll as an offense. And I think you can use Kareem in a way where he can be the feature back for a week or two if you need him to be, and still have a really effective ground game. They may give him the ball more than we are expecting, or they may just go out and throw it all over this Bills secondary that I don't think has anywhere near the horses in the barn to deal with what this Chiefs offense presents. Where are you at on this wide receiver secondary, wide receiver tight end against this secondary matchup?
Yeah, I think I kind of hope, not that I want a shootout, but I think the formula here, as weird as it may sound, is to get them in a position where they're passing more. Um, I'm hoping the Chiefs might take some deep shots early because I think that, again, like Jordan Poyer was a good safety in his day, but he's 34 years old and
That day has come and gone.
You've got I would love to see working in some Taquan Thornton and some Hollywood, yeah, even Hollywood, but Xavier Worthy some deep shots to either of those two early on, really press them, um, and then try to get some points out ahead, and just to put the pressure on the Bills. That I think makes sense. I think with the way their safety room is shaped up, like, and even yeah, the matchups are very favorable in the passing game with the Chiefs. It's going to come down to um, obviously protection, right? Offensive line has looked really good so far. I think we're going to have Trey Smith back. I I know Jalen Moore was listed with an illness and is technically questionable, but my tea leaves say he's going to play. Um, they've got some juice up front.
And Andy said he expects him to play on Sunday. He was sick Friday. He expects him to play Sunday.
Yeah, they've got some juice up front, even with the defensive tackles being out. So I wonder again, maybe there's some screen game stuff you can do. Yeah, because I'm looking at different parts of it. Um, their linebackers are also pretty thin, so if they have any injuries there, um, but yeah, I mean, and don't get me wrong, Christian Benford is a good corner. They've got the first round pick Maxwell Harrison, who I think is a guy who is developing. But all of that says to me, there's room to eat in the secondary, which has been a theme for our wide receiver group. And I think they can really take advantage of different matchups. This could be a really, a really messy game if the Bills get behind early. Again, it's hard to predict because, respect for this group and this team because they always play really hard against the Chiefs and it's always a fun game. But on paper, anyways, there's probably some room to get away with the secondary, and that's been kind of when they have struggled to win games, that's been part of it. Is other teams were able to. I mean, I know Atlanta ran all over them, but they've been able
Bijan had a field day.
Carve up the defense.
So here's my thing: the pass rush doesn't scare you at this point. Joey Bosa is aging, and not aging particularly well. So unless Joey Bosa has a random resurgence game where he goes crazy, and it's not like Greg Rousseau's great. I feel bad about swapping him and Ed Oliver. Greg Rousseau is a great player, but I don't know that he presents you anything you've not seen already. I mean, you've already seen Aiden Hutchinson, right? Like you just saw Aiden Hutchinson like 2 weeks ago, and Jalen played really well against him, and Jawan's been phenomenal outside of the penalties, which he's completely evaporated the last several weeks, which is what you want. So with Trey being likely back in the fold this week, it sounds like it gets rid of the weakest spot on that line in that area. And like I said, without them having defensive tackles, you can kind of help a little more towards the edges. You can chip if you need to. You can give a little help out there if you need to on this pass rush. And I don't know. I don't think Buffalo can play man. I really don't. I don't know how you look at that secondary group and go, yeah, we're going to man up with this group against those guys. And if you can't play man, it's going to be a long, long day if Patrick knows you're just sitting in zone. Because Travis just put a highlight tape out of, I can still destroy zone coverage by just simply finding soft spots. And there was a great article. We talked about it a little bit. Jesse Newell wrote about it. I mean, a little bit of a passing of the torch from Travis to Rasheed on some of that stuff. And now if there's two of them out there working in the middle of the field at different levels, at different spots, finding those soft spots in the zone, it's just going to be a long day. And you already said it. I think they're susceptible to the deep ball too, especially if they try to play man. I just don't. You don't have anybody that's fast enough to run with Taekwon or Xavier Worthy. Like that secondary is not fast. Not a single one of those dudes is fast. Maxwell Hairston, yes, he's a rookie. He's going to have the game of his life if they're going to leave him on the field routinely, because I can almost guarantee you Patrick and Andy are going to test the kid if he's out there a
Well,
bunch.
I don't think he's been out too much. I was saying their cornerback room being thin. Um, yeah, and Teron Johnson is questionable, a little banged up. Um, yeah, he's
I just don't
Tre'Davious
know how you
White.
look at that secondary group and go, yeah, I want Tre'Davious White to be running with Rashee Rice or Xavier Worthy or
Anyone.
Hollywood Brown for that matter, or Taekwon. Like, there's
Yeah,
not enough
I would.
speed in that back end.
Yeah, I would guess Benford probably draws the Rice matchup, but then again, that leaves you with all other areas where you can really spread this
Attack.
secondary out. Yeah, and that's it. Like that's where if we could see some more, a lot of those trips formations that Andy likes. With Travis on the opposite side. Like,
Isolated solo and them
yep,
praying they put Matt Milano on him. Yeah.
yeah, I yeah could be a lot of
So
room to eat here.
this is my somewhat of my expectation. I think they're going to come out and sparingly use the run to establish it and give them some play action options if they really want it. But I think
Hmm.
this game is going to be Patrick just kind of throwing it all over the yard.
Hmm.
I just don't. You just don't have the horses to keep
Hmm.
up with this group. There's too many different ways they can attack you with too much speed that if you play man with your current alignment of your secondary, you're going to have mismatches in multiple spots. And if you play zone, they're just going to sit down and eat you for 10, 12, 14 at a time. And this team is not like the last couple of years where they get to the red zone and then all of a sudden they can't do anything. I think they've
Hmm.
scored 70 something percent in the red zone the last 4 or 5 weeks. They're at
Hmm.
like 53% or more for points this year.
Yeah,
That's tough.
yeah.
That's not easy to deal with. And
Hmm.
and Andy, the biggest change for me is Andy's aggressiveness.
That's
They
huge.
are well, and the other slogan besides "everybody's got to eat" that's been apparently been being used a lot inside the Chiefs locker room is AAF, and that you can figure out what the F stands for when you figure out that the A and the A are aggressive as. So, four-letter word there at the end, maybe an expletive. You might understand, but with him being willing to go for it on fourth down at a rate we've never seen him go for it on fourth down, and Kareem Hunt being 20 of 22 in short yardage, which the whole he's more effective than the Eagles tush push thing is fun because it just makes Eagles fans mad. Um, I mean that creates a lot of problems for a defense that doesn't have hasn't had a lot of answers, and now you're asking Josh Allen in this offense to go up against the top five rushing and top. I think they're top five in both rushing and passing defense this year.
Hmm.
And that's a lot of an ask to get into a shootout and try to keep up with Patrick Mahomes when he's playing the way he is playing right now, which is MVP level. Like, there's a reason he's the odds-on favorite for his third MVP this year,
Yeah,
and they are this Buffalo Bills team is going to need the performance of the year from their entire defense for this game to be what Tom thinks, which is fun and close. So special teams, we can touch on briefly here before we get into score predictions. I just want him to clean up the penalties. Dave Tobe was asked about it this week. He's like, I don't want him to stop being aggressive, but we got to stop doing things at the point of attack that are blatant, and that's accurate. And there's been one guy a lot, Mister got an interception late against the Commanders. Has had some penalty issues. People are frustrated. I like I said, I was a little surprised at the beginning of the year that he actually was still on the team. But if he was, it was definitely for special teams. If you're going to be causing problems on special teams, then what are you doing? So we've lost a lot of Nico's benefit in the return game because we can't stop getting silly penalties at the point of attack. I hope they clean that up this game. Butker's
Yeah.
been better because he hasn't had to kick a whole lot, which is nice. Not a lot of field goals, mostly extra points. That's a good thing. I don't any questions or concerns in the special teams other than the penalties.
Puckers look better. Yeah, no, I'm not really too concerned. I mean, the team overall has, I think, cleaned up a lot of things, and I think that's the Chiefs are coming into this game, I think, with as much momentum as they've had all season. I know I know that the Bills just tuned up the Panthers, but they just came off two back-to-back brutal losses. Um, I I think mentally the Chiefs are locked in. Obviously, I don't follow the Bills as closely as I do the Chiefs, so I I'm not really not too worried about the special teams, the penalties, any of that stuff. Which again, it, anything could happen between these two teams. That's why it is a little bit of that rivalry. So um, yeah, I'm not too worried overall about the Chiefs. I'm gonna regret saying that. About the penalty piece, and like you said, even Jawan Taylor, who's kind of the one that everybody likes to look at, has cleaned it up. I think this team is like, as we talked about weeks ago, when they were struggling with these weird games and these close games and then these losses, um, this team adjusts and responds to adversity as well as any team I've ever, you know, seen in a football setting. So yeah, I hate feeling confident because every time I feel confident, wild things happen. But yeah,
I just if they take care of the ball and they limit penalties, I'm just it's gonna be a heck of a day for this Chiefs team. If they play a B plus game, that this is going to be a tough one for the Buffalo Bills. So let's go. We'll go ahead. We're approaching the hour mark. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us that are here. We know it's a weird day. It's Saturday night. We don't usually do these on Saturday, but all of you guys that came and hung out with us, we appreciate it. Hop over to the YouTube channel. Make sure you like, rate, and subscribe us on all your platforms where this is. I know this one may be weird because it may double broadcast it with the other live we did. I don't know how that's going to work. We'll figure that out.
yeah, we'll
or one of these may be gone and lost to the void in the VOD. We don't know. Who knows? Like I said, we're running without our tech guru and our producer extraordinaire. So we appreciate everybody hanging out with us. With that, Tom, you think it's going to be a close, fun one? What you got for us? What's your prediction looking like?
one moment while Scout makes his way into the podcast. Hey, buddy.
Oh, we got a Scout appearance. Wouldn't be a podcast without one of the dogs making an appearance.
Oh, he's got the zoomies right now. Hi, buddy.
Oh yeah.
He just came running around. I heard him. Hi, bud. Okay.
So while Scout's making his appearance, I will give you what the current line is. The Chiefs are 1.5 point favorites on the road. It was 2.5, I believe, and I think actually when it opened they were plus 2.5. And if this line has moved all over the place, so that kind of tells you that there's some variance in what the public and the sharps and Vegas are thinking on this. So the line is 1.5 with an over under of 52.5, and that over under went up, I believe, from like 47 or 48. So there's been some movement in both the favorites and on the over under. And if I just had to guess, that has somewhat to do with the Chiefs' offense looking more like a juggernaut again than it had earlier in the year.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of points in this game, but I think the Chiefs will pull away. I don't think. I want to believe that it'll be a comfortable game for the Chiefs, but I think just the nature of both these offenses, it's very likely that there's going to be some points put up, even if it's garbage time, trying to get the comeback, whatever. Um, I would say I'm going to go 20. I'm trying to decide if the Chiefs are going to break 30 or not. You know what? Yes. I'm going to say 34 to 27. That's the number I'm going with.
32-27.
34-27.
34-27. I thought you said 32-27 for some reason.
Yeah, no, 34. Extra field goal. Stick it in there.
All right. Well,
that probably feels really high now that I've said it out loud.
I mean, it's 59. It's about a touchdown more than what the over under is at the moment. So it's not wouldn't surprise me if that happened. Now, it would surprise me a little bit if we get into a shootout style situation and this Chiefs defense gives up 27. They are playing so well ever since the Chargers game. Even the Eagles game that they lost and the Jags game that they lost, the offense they gave up. One of them was a pick six in the Jags game, and they only gave up 20 to the Eagles. So they held Detroit completely down, and then Detroit turned around and smoked Tampa Bay, and the Detroit offense wasn't injured. It was a little bit of the Detroit defense, and they completely contained and controlled Lamar for the entire game until he wasn't in the game anymore, and the game was over. So, look, I am. If the Chiefs come out and focus the way that they've been focused the last few weeks, and they play even like I said, a B plus game, I just don't know that there's enough for this Buffalo team right now to be able to run with this Kansas City offense the way it's clicking and the way it's moving. And you mentioned it. If the Kansas City offense is clicking and moving and it's early, and not like the Commanders game where it took till the second half, but like, Vegas where they came out and just started hammering them immediately, or they put the pressure on early in a couple of the other games this year like they did against Baltimore and and a little bit with Detroit. That's a lot of pressure on Josh and James Cook. And Josh, and I think it's the games that he's thrown for more than 200 and something yards that they've lost a bunch of games in this year. Like, they've been best when James Cook is the one doing most of the damage. And if you're in a shootout with Patrick Mahomes, James Cook running the ball isn't going to do you a lot.
Yeah.
Unless he's just ripping off giant chunk plays. So I am.
He said scares me, but yes.
I am looking more towards this being a statement, an official statement. The conversation around the Chiefs has changed so drastically over this year. It always seems to, but the whiplash from 0-2, they're dead, to oh Lord, look out, they're fully back, has been an interesting one to watch from the national perspective. I think they're fully back, guys. This offense is giving me 2022 vibes, 2021 vibes.
So much fun.
They are caught there. Well, and that's the other thing. We talked about it a little bit on Wednesday. When this team is having fun, they are a legitimate problem. They won a bunch of games last year, but they'll all tell you it wasn't all that fun. They didn't really have that much fun. They were winning, but it sucked a lot of the time, and it was ugly, and they know it. They don't need to hear it on social media or the talking heads telling them they were winning ugly last year. They know. Mm-hmm. Patrick said it earlier, I think this week or maybe last week, when he was asked, what's it like versus this year versus last year, and he said it's a lot more fun. Just open and honest with it. And when they're having fun, when they're dancing on the sidelines, when they're having, like, you saw Chris having fun with Mike because he got Mike back, but like when they're having fun, they're a whole problem for the rest of this league. And this team looks to be having fun now that everybody's back in the fold and they're through all of the Rasheed stuff. Xavier's healthy-ish, as he's going to get the rest of the year with that shoulder. He's not even on the injury report this week. Andy was asked about him not being on the injury report, and he said, yeah, Xavier wants no part of the injury report. He tells me he's fine and there's nothing wrong every day that I talk to him about it. So with the full complement, I just don't know that they stop them. And I think Kansas City, I don't think this is going to be one of those where Andy's like, hey, sorry, Pete, I don't really want to rub your face in it.
Mm-hmm.
I think this one's going to be gas pedal until the game is completely and totally over. And I just don't know that Buffalo has any way to really stop them unless they stop themselves. And
Mm-hmm.
if they don't stop themselves, that Bills offense doesn't have enough to keep up with this Patrick Mahomes offense right now. Give me Kansas City, and I know this is going to be a bit extra probably, but give me Kansas City 41, Buffalo 24. I just think they go out and put it on them as aggressively as they can. The mindset, the mentality, the EGE and the AAF and all of the things, and you see all of that, and then you look across, and we just talked about how absolutely decimated that defense is, and they weren't particularly great when they were healthy, and now they're all banged up. And with the complement of weapons that doesn't particularly exist for Josh with the receiving room, it just leads to a if this game script gets even a little off of what Buffalo absolutely has to have it as, it could
Mm-hmm.
get out of hand in a hurry. So, and I think that's where this Chiefs team is from a mentality standpoint. They know what this game is. They know they're being broadcast to the entire country, and that the other two games that Fox has, literally not even fans of their own team care about, because I think it's Jacksonville and the Raiders, and then whoever the Rams play, which it's like, God, I'm looking real quick, but it's not that nobody the metric ratings for the other two games that are at 4 o'clock. Yeah, it's Jaguars Raiders and Rams Saints with the debut of Tyler Shuck.
Ooh.
So let me tell you how many interested eyeballs are going to be on those two games versus the CBS slot. That would be basically none other than the family members of the players on the teams.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like,
Not a whole lot.
so
Not a lot.
both teams know what this game is. It's been this way for years now. This one has a little different feel because neither team is in first, and they're both trying to keep their seasons aimed in the direction they want. But
Mm-hmm.
I just when you look at these two teams, the Chiefs are way more talented. They just are. I'm not knocking Buffalo. It's just there's way more talent and there's way more healthy talent on the field right now for Kansas City. And if they come out focused and ready to go, like I am positive they're going to, because it's also in Buffalo. And Patrick said it. They don't like us. They hate us
Yeah.
up there. Good. That's what it should be. You've ended their season 4 times in the playoffs. 4 in a row.
Mm-hmm.
So the only other one and the only other team that's ended their season was the Ravens, who then you promptly ended their season. So this is the matchup that we usually circle. It's going to be the game of the year as far as eyeballs. I think this probably will be the highest viewed game of the season, even with some of the other games that they've got coming up. Like Cowboys on Thanksgiving is going to do stupid numbers, but that's a
Yeah.
holiday special game. This game is going
It's a
to
big,
get into that same level.
it's a big game. It doesn't. Maybe it's because I've been. Uh, this week has been a weird week for me personally, so I'm like, it's been great to have football back.
Yes.
It doesn't feel the same like as a big game again, maybe because of the circumstances, but you're right when you
It's not a
say
1 seed game,
yeah, but it
but it
could
is
be.
kind of a 1 seed game.
It's not a late season one seed game. It's a if you want a chance, this is it. This is going to be a big
You
factor
better
in it.
win this game.
Yeah, um, yeah, you're right. It's a big game.
Because Buffalo is a game in the win column behind New England. And New England has them head to head, so they're really a game and a half back in that column because
Yeah,
they've already beat them once. And if New England beats them again, then they're really in trouble. But regardless, like New England has the advantage. Kansas City, the Chargers, we lost to. Denver, we still have to see twice, and we're a game back and tied for second, which is third because we lost to the Chargers. So both teams need this.
yep.
But I just
Can't
don't
afford to
think
lose.
Buffalo has the horses in the barn. You got anything else for us, Tom?
No, I'm ready for the game. Ready for it to happen. So
Yeah. It's going to be a fun one. I hope it's a comfortable one, like you said. It'll probably be weird because that's just how this stuff goes. But hopefully it's weird in the what happened and how did the Chiefs win that by 50 and not, well, wow, that was weird. Why did that game become just a circus?
yeah.
So with that, guys, thank you all again for hanging out with us. Like us on YouTube, subscribe on YouTube. That helps us out tremendously. Go check out our friends over at Underdog and use the code kingdomsays. Get yourself some bonus offer there. There's plenty of contests, and follow us on all social platforms and anywhere you get your podcasts. And we will be back after this one, which I believe leads us. Is it the bye next week after this, Tom?
I don't know. I think it is.
I think we're off next week.
Oh,
yeah, it looks
cool.
like we're off next week. So
7 days.
Right. So we be back for your bye week recap. Trade deadline is next week. We didn't really touch on that this episode because we definitely wanted to give all of our time to the Bills game. We could touch on the trade deadline stuff on Monday/Tuesday when you guys hear it. Which that trade deadline I believe is Tuesday afternoon. So we should know some more things then. It'll also be interesting to see, what teams are buyers and sellers because there's a lot of teams just in the mush right now. Like there's a couple teams that are like, yeah, you're bad. The Jets, the Dolphins, Vegas. I mean, the Saints, but even the Cardinals at 2-5 still have technically life in that division, and so does like some of the other like the Giants are 2-6 now. The Scatabo injury is really tough for them, but they have life. So should be interesting to see what teams are sellers at the deadline. If there's any more movement, Cleveland stinks. Obviously, that's a known thing. But from there, we will see, and we'll see if the Chiefs look to add, maybe a little help at the edge rusher. Maybe they do something crazy and add a running back. I don't think they're going to on the running back front, but maybe. So we'll be back. Plenty more for you guys. Bi-week content, lots of fun stuff. Come hang out with us. Come jump on all the socials and get all of your updates there. And we will see you guys on the next episode of The Kingdom Says.